ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुताः पदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome all of you all for our weekly Gita class. So last week we were discussing the chanting of the holy names. We had a session on how one should chant Hare Krishna and the importance of chanting. So before that we had stopped till verse number 2 of the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So we'll just do a quick recap of where we ended in the Gita discussion. So we were discussing text 2 of the first chapter. Sanjay Vacha Drishtva tu Pandavanekam Vyudam Duryodhanastada Acharyam Upasangamya Raja Vachanam Abravit. Sanjay said, O king, after looking over the army arranged in military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhan went to his teacher and spoke the following words. So the first verse of the Gita is Dhritarashtra asking Sanjay that after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in this place of pilgrimage called Kurukshetra, what did they do? So beginning to answer, Sanjay explains that, O king, when King Duryodhan saw that the opposite army, the Pandavas, are arranged in military formation, King Duryodhan goes to his guru and speaks the following words. So Sanjay is very carefully and consciously using the word king. Why? Because for Dhritarashtra, he wanted to be the king, and his only desire in life was that Duryodhan remains the king. So even though Sanjay knew that victory is not going to be there for Duryodhan, but Sanjay didn't want to disappoint Dhritarashtra right at the start. So that's why he uses the word King Duryodhan, so that Dhritarashtra will feel, yeah, my son is actually a king. So in this way, Sanjay begins. So we saw last week, last time when we were discussing this, that this is like the uh, how the verses in the Gita are divided. How many verses Dhritarashtra spoke, Sanjay speaks, Arjuna speaks, and Krishna speaks. So in this way, there is a total of 700 verses. So in the verse number 1, we saw the duplicity of Dhritarashtra. How Dhritarashtra is very duplicitous. Even though he's asking apparently a simple and innocent question, what did my sons and the sons of Pandu do? There is a very cunning intention behind it. So many times when we speak to people, it is not necessary that people just understand our words. People, everyone has that sense where people can understand the intention behind those words. So even though it's an externally a simple question, Sanjay knew that Dhritarashtra is not simple. So you can't judge a book by its cover. So Sanjay replies to the question of Dhritarashtra. We saw this that all of us in life, we all have this powerful jewel of choice with us, isn't it? Given a particular situation, we can choose to act in different ways. So Dhritarashtra, given a situation, he chose to act always in a way of duplicity. That's how he chose. And the result is the war of Kurukshetra, where all his children died. It was a result of the choices that Dhritarashtra made. So that's why they say, what is life? There are different definitions of life. One definition of life is, which is very interesting, is life is a segment BD. B stands for birth, D stands for death. We neither have control over birth, we don't have control over death. And our life is defined. What is a segment? A segment is a defined set of line. You know, start point and end point is fixed. But between the letter B and D is the letter C. And what is a segment? A segment is made up of n number of points. So in our life, from birth till death, we have a lot of choices to make. And depending on what choice we make at every moment, so life is just a moment to moment choice. So depending on every time the choice that we make, our destination will be decided based on that. So because Dhritarashtra made wrong choices in life, he didn't choose to listen to the right advice. He didn't choose to listen to the voice of the right people. Because he made these wrong choices, the result is he and his entire children are going to be destroyed in this war. So something very interesting that comes out from this verse is, even though Sanjay tells that King Duryodhan, he explains this, Drishtva tu Pandavanikam Vyutam Duryodhanastata Acharyam Upasangamya Raja Vachanam Abravit. Raja, the king, Duryodhan goes and speaks to Acharya Drona. So someone may wonder, if Duryodhan is a king, why does he have to go to a commander-in-chief to speak? That means, even though Duryodhan is a king, Duryodhan is very fearful. Duryodhan is taken by surprise. And why is Duryodhan fearful and taken by surprise? Because he sees in front of him 7 Akshoni Senas of the Pandavas, and Duryodhan cannot figure out how the Pandavas, who were beggars, who literally didn't have anything, how they have amassed 7 Akshoni Senas. And Duryodhan is seeing that the Pandava army is well organized, very confident. So confidence doesn't depend on resources. Confidence depends on whether we are following the right path. When you're following the right path, there is great confidence that comes. And when we follow the wrong path, there is great fear that comes. So Duryodhan is seeing 7 Akshoni Senas in front of him, of the Pandavas, and he's seeing great confidence in the eyes of all these people. Why? Because they know clearly they are fighting for truth. Just like, during the course of the war, there is a day where Abhimanyu gets into the Chakravyuh. And Abhimanyu, a 16-year-old boy, he gets into the Chakravyuh. He doesn't once look at the back to see whether someone is following him to help him or not. Abhimanyu is so confident. Even when 7 Maharathis come to attack him and kill him, still Abhimanyu is not scared at all. Very fearless. Why? Because he knows he is following the right path. So when we follow a right path, when we are on the path of Dharma, there is no need to be fearful. Even if the entire world is against us, if we are on the side of Krishna, there is nothing to be fearful. So here Duryodhan has 11 Akshoni Senas. What is 7 Akshoni Senas in front of 11 Akshoni Senas? Still Duryodhan is fearful. So we discussed this, that 1 Akshoni Senas consists of 21,870 chariots, 21,870 elephantry, 1,09,650 infantry soldiers, and 65,600 horsemen, chivalry. This is 1 Akshoni. So those who feel that Mahabharata and all these books are fairy tales, mythology, no, there is every calculation that comes. Specific, what is 1 Akshoni, all these calculations come. in the something interesting is in the Ramayana, when Lord Ram takes these monkeys to fight, crosses Rameshwaram and goes to Lanka to fight, Ramayana explains how many number of monkeys are there. And for that, there is a different maths that is needed. Why? Because thousands, trillions, billions will not be useful to calculate monkeys. There are literally crores and crores and crores of monkeys. And to explain how many monkeys were there, Valmiki comes up with his own mathematical system to explain how many monkeys are there. So the point is, what we are discussing here is just not mythology. It is actually history of the past. That is why Ramayana and Mahabharata, we don't call it mythology. What we call it? We call it itihas. Itihas means histories. These are histories of great people. I mean, what is the point in reading history of so many other people who conquered India and all that? Better to read these two history books. If you love history, if you can read these two history books of Ramayana and Mahabharata, all our appetite for history will get completely satisfied. So the lesson here that we discussed also last time is that there is a difference between quantity and quality. Duryodhan had quantity, but the Pandavas had quality. So it's not important how big your team is. What is important is how committed your team is. Whether all your team members share the equal vision, whether all of them have unity together. What is the point in having a big team that is disunited? A small team which is much more united, where everyone is ready to sacrifice for each other, such a team is much more valuable. So that's why Duryodhana is, even though he has quantity, but he's seeing that the Pandavas have quality. And that's what is bringing fear in the heart of Duryodhana. So we also explained this last time, that Vyudam, in this verse it explains Vyudam. Vyudam means military arrangement, the arrangement of a military phalanx. So just like, in a dance formation, there is a military, there is a proper arrangement there. Or in a Republic Day formation, the soldiers march in a certain formation. So why these formations are needed? Because this formation shows discipline, it shows unity, and it shows confidence, right? So in a Republic Day parade, when you see all the soldiers of a particular wing of army walking in the straight fashion, everyone's leg moves at the same time, hand moves at the same time, then you get confidence. The other people understand that there is great unity in these people. It's not that everyone is doing something very randomly. So similarly, previously also, during this war of Kurukshetra, every day, 18 days this war lasted, every day there would be a different formation of the army. And there are many formations. So the war itself was a science of its own. So Kshatriyas, they had their own law books, how to fight, and what's the best strategy to fight. If someone shoots this weapon, which weapon you should use. So there was an entire system in it. So Dhanur Vidya is also part of Veda. That is also part of Vedic scripture. So the Vedic scriptures has lot of other aspects to it, subsidiary aspects to it. And there is a great science to it. So these are different viewers that were there used in Mahabharata, some of them. Chakra viewer, Makara viewer, when the army would be arranged in the form of a crocodile. Then Krauncha viewer, when the army would be arranged in form of a crane, the Krauncha bird. And Vajra viewer, when the army would be arranged in the form of a thunderbolt, the weapon of Indra. So on this day, the first day inauguration of the war, when Duryodhana goes out to see the Pandav soldiers, he is surprised, he is fearful, first because there is great strength in the Pandavas, there is great unity in the Pandavas. Second, because the Pandavas have arranged themselves in Vajra Vyuha. So Vajra Vyuha shows strength and power. So seeing this, Duryodhana becomes more fearful. On top of it, leading the Vajra Vyuha is Bhima. Because for Duryodhana, Bhima was like the most sworn enemy for Duryodhana. So right in front is Bhima. So seeing the confidence of Bhima, seeing the anger of Bhima, Duryodhana actually becomes fearful. So the lesson is, good company is impenetrable to temptation. So we all need good company in life. So when you are surrounded by good company, then whatever obstacles come, you can face it. In our childhood, we all have learned this example, right? You take a twig, you will be able to easily break it. But you tie a lot of twigs together, it's difficult to break it. So you need unity, you need good company. And when you have this good company, you'll be able to face all sort of difficulties. So Duryodhan sees that Bhima is leading the Vajravyuha. So these are various reasons why Duryodhan is feeling fearful. Otherwise, what is the need for Duryodhan, a king, to go to a commander-in-chief? Because he's feeling fearful. Why? Because the Pandavas have amassed 7 Akshoni Senas. They are very confident. They have arranged themselves in Vajravyuha, and Bhima is leading this Vajravyuha. So he approaches Acharya Drona, and out of fear tells Acharya Drona the following words. So what he tells comes in the next shloka. So what is the reason for fear? The reason for fear is, as I told you, 2 reasons. One is when we are on the wrong path, when we are on the side of adharma, there is always that fear that comes. That inner conscience keeps eating us. So we all have this inner voice within us, which tells us when we are going wrong. There is an inner voice that tells us this is wrong. You're not supposed to do it. Someone is shouting into our ears. But many times what we do, we switch this person, we put him off, we mute him, and we deceive ourselves. So when we go through this self-deception, when we keep deceiving ourselves, then what happens? Then there is this fear that builds up. Our conscience starts eating us from within. So this is one reason for fear. The second reason for fear is when we don't have faith in something greater. So Duryodhana is a typical materialist who is thinking that my own strength, my own abilities, I will win the war. He doesn't have strength in greater powers. But the Pandavas, they have strength in power beyond themselves. So when you speak about self-confidence, where does self-confidence come from? Self-confidence comes from when you have faith that God is there in your life, then there is self-confidence that comes. When you're just confident on your own abilities, that's not real confidence. Real confidence is when you understand that there is a power greater than me that is backing me. So the confidence of the Pandavas was just not in their strength, in their abilities. It was in the ability of Krishna protecting them. That was their strength. Just like there was one time a girl who was traveling in a flight, a small girl, and as she was traveling in this flight, in mid-air, there was great turbulence that the flight was undergoing. And the flight started to shake and wobble, and suddenly the flight started to dip, it started to fall down. And everyone was panicking, the air hostesses were panicking, everyone was panicking. And the captain was saying, don't worry, we'll get this in control, relax. But everyone was literally panicking. But there was this one girl, very peaceful, happy and smiling. So somehow the captain got the plane in control and somehow landed the plane safely. So there was one guy who was sitting next to this girl. So he looked at this girl and asked her, I mean, everyone on the plane was fearful. Weren't you scared? So she said, no, I was absolutely not scared. So this one asked him, what is your secret of fearfulness? So the girl said, because the pilot of this flight is my father. And I know for sure my father loves me and he will not let me down. So where does fearfulness come from? Fearlessness come from? When we understand that God is there to take care of us, then automatically there is a sense of fearlessness that comes to us. But when we understand, when we don't believe or acknowledge in the presence of God, and when we just have confidence on our own selves, there is great fear that comes. Even though Duryodhana had done his homework very well, he had got 11 Akshoni Senas, he used his intelligence perfectly. And we will see in the next few verses how Duryodhana was a great diplomat, a great politician. He knew how to manipulate everyone. Even though he did everything, Still this guy is fearful. Why? Because he doesn't have faith in someone greater. So faith is something that is very important. When we feed our faith, our fear dies. But when we don't feed our faith, then the fear grows more and more. So how does faith come? From where do we get faith? We get faith by developing our connection with God. By associating with devotees who have faith, by reading scriptures, our faith gradually grows. So when all of you are coming for these satsangs, all of you are coming because all of you all have little faith already. Adho Shraddha, little faith, because of which you all are coming and trying to find out what is there. But if you just stick to this process, gradually our faith will become stronger and stronger. Just like a small plant, when it's very fragile and new, you plant it on the ground, you have to protect it. But slowly, when the plant's roots become a little stronger, it becomes very strong. And even when hurricanes and storms come, the plant can remain rooted. So similarly, all of us have delicate faith now. But if we keep holding on to this process, the connection of bhakti, the connection with devotees, slowly our faith will become very strong. And we will develop such confidence that even if we have to face the entire world, we will absolutely have no problem. We will develop this sense of fearlessness. So the lesson is, when we are dealing with fear, there are two ways we can deal with it. First, by feeding our faith in God, our faith in higher powers. Second is by listening to the right voice. So when we get those intuitions, that consigns that tells us this is the wrong path, please avoid it, we should be loyal to that voice. We should keep hearing the right voice that is guiding us. If you do this, we will actually overcome fear. So basically in verse 2, Duryodhan approaches Dronacharya, and Dronacharya, after assessing the military formation of the Pandavas, and Duryodhan is addressed here as the king. Sanjay is addressing Duryodhan as the king just to encourage Dhritarashtra, because Dhritarashtra is despondent. Just like in Hindi, there's that saying that they say "Zor ka jatka, dheere se." So even though Sanjay wants to give a big jatka for Dhritarashtra, saying that no chance for your children to win, but Sanjay is feeling not at the first verse. I will give that after the entire Gita is over, so that at least Dhritarashtra patiently hears Gita. Now only in the first as soon as I start to speak, if I tell Dhritarashtra, Duryodhana is going to die, Dhritarashtra will not even want to hear the Gita. So Sanjay is saying, at least let this fellow hear the Gita. So Sanjay is giving hope to Dhritarashtra, saying, probably your son can be the king. King Duryodhana, that's why he calls him. But something interesting in this verse is, even though Duryodhana is called the king, still he approaches the commander-in-chief. Just like a small child, when he's not studied well, he again and again goes to his father, mother, or teacher, teacher help me, because he's fearful. So similarly, Duryodhana, even though he's a king, he's a fearful king. So that's why he has to go to the commander-in-chief. So this verse shows, this is a beginning that shows how Duryodhana is an expert politician, a big diplomat. So a big politician. Probably if Duryodhana was there in today's times, probably he would have been leading a party and he would have been a big politician with some prominent seat somewhere. Right? So Duryodhana in one sense was very expert in different skills. But what is more important, is skills important or character important? In today's society where so much stress is given to skills, people forget that more than skills, character is important. Because if you don't have character, the person who has more skills but a characterless person can be very dangerous. Just like a monkey is very dangerous. But if you give a sword in the hand of a monkey, the monkey is going to be more dangerous. Why? Because he doesn't know how it's going to use that sword. So similarly, expertise, whether it being in politics or any knowledge for that matter, is like that sword. Technology for that matter is that sword. But if it is not in the hands of a person who has character, it can be very dangerous, very detrimental. So this is verse 2. So now we'll go to verse 3, text 3. Paschaitam Panduputranam Acharyam Mahatim Jamum Vyudam Drupada Putrena Tava Shishyena Dhimata. So Duryodhan goes to his teacher, and what does he say? He says, "O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupad." So he tells Dronacharya, Paschaitam Panduputranam, O Acharya, just see the army of the sons of Pandu. Vyudam Drupada Putrena Tava Shishyena Dhimata. And who has arranged this? Who is leading the army? Who is the commander-in-chief of the Pandavas? Drishtadyumna. But Duryodhan doesn't use the word Drishtadyumna. He calls Drishtadyumna as Drupada Putrena. Drishtadyumna is the son of Drupad. So this is something very interesting. Why does Duryodhan not call Drishtadyumna, but it calls him Drupada Putrena? Why? Because there is an interesting history to it. And this shows how sharp and political and diplomatic Duryodhan is. He knows what to speak at what time to get his work done. So Duryodhan is very expert. So Duryodhan is very expert, but expert only for himself. Everything revolves around me. So this is called, today's society is many times called the me society. Everyone is working only for themselves. So it shows the diplomacy of Duryodhan, a very cunning guy, very shrewd guy. Why does he use the word Drupada Putrena? Because the history is that Drona and Drupada were friends in their Gurukul times. When they were small children, previously in Gurukuls, whether you're a son of a Brahmana or a son of a king, both of them would go to the same Gurukul and study, do menial service together. So Drona was a Brahmana, Drupada was a Kshatriya, but both of them went to the same Gurukul and studied together. And they became very good friends. So in the friendship, Drupad promised Drona, saying that when I grow up and I become the king, I will give you half my kingdom. As children, they just speak something, without really understanding the meaning of it. So Drona said, okay, let's see, So childhood days passed. So as years went by, Drupad went on to be a king, and Drona continued his life as a Brahmana. But then Drona was quite poor. He didn't have any money. In fact, his condition was so poor that he didn't even have milk to feed his son Ashwatthama when Ashwatthama was a small child. So Dronacharya's wife, Kripi, she told Drona that I heard you have a friend called Drupad who's a king now. Why don't you go and ask him something in return? He had promised you will give you half the kingdom. Why don't you go and ask him something? So Drona said, okay, let me go, because his condition was really bad. So Drona goes to Drupad and tells Drupad, do you remember me? I was your childhood friend and you had promised me you will give me half my kingdom. So why don't you give me some good share of wealth? I'm really poor. So Drupad, he said, who are you? I don't know you. Childhood, I don't know, I might have spoken something in childhood, but how can you take children seriously? I really don't know you. And after all, friendship is among equals now. Now I'm a king, you're a poor Brahmana. How can there be any friendship amongst us? So you go your own way. And Drupad insults Drona and Drona comes out. So Drona is so angry now because he's been insulted. So even though generally Brahmanas don't take insults very seriously, but in this case, Drona is really getting insulted, and Drona decides, I will take revenge at the right time, when the right time comes. So it so happens that for Drona to take revenge, Drona needs proper allies. He needs people to help him. So that is the time Mahabharata explains that Drona, because he's looking for a job, he comes to Hastinapur. And he meets the Pandavas and the Kauravas, who are small children. And it is right at this time that Bhishma, who is the grandfather of the children, He's looking for a martial teacher, or someone who can teach them military science. Bhishma himself could teach the student, but Bhishma was very busy in administration. So when Drona comes to the kingdom, Bhishma became so happy that Drona has come. And Dronacharya teaches the Pandavas and the Kauravas everything about military science, A to Z. Dronacharya was an expert military person. So generally in our Gurukul times, the Gurukul system was that when you get knowledge from your Guru, you give your Guru some Guru Dakshina. So all these children went to Dronacharya and asked them, what Guru Dakshina should we give you? So Dronacharya's only reason why he wanted to teach the Pandavas and the Kauravas was that he wanted to take revenge against Drupad. So Dronacharya tells them, all of you all go and bring Drupad alive in front of me and let his head fall at my feet. He wanted to take revenge. So the Kauravas went first, Duryodhan, Karna, everyone together, but they couldn't do it. Drupad defeated them. Then Arjuna went along with the Pandavas, and Arjuna defeated the entire army of Drupad, caught Drupad alive and brought him in front of Drona. And now Drupad was stripped of his kingdom, and Drupad was lying, at the feet of Dronacharya. So Dronacharya told him, now we are equals. In fact, I can kill you right now, but I will not kill you. I am not like you. What I will do is I will take half my kingdom and you take half the kingdom. You rule half, I will rule half. So Dronacharya again insults. Drupad insulted Drona. Now Drona insults Drupad, and Dronacharya leaves Drupad. So Drupad goes back to his kingdom, Panchala Desh, and Drupad is boiling hot with anger. He's so angry that this Brahmana insulted me so bad. So Drupad decides that I'm going to take revenge. What does he do? He does a yajna so that a child can be born, and this child will be the cause of the death of Drona. And who's this child? This child is Drishtadyumna. So Drupad basically had 3 children, 1 daughter Draupadi and 2 boys, Shikandi and Drishtadyumna. So this boy Drishtadyumna was born only to kill Drona. His reason for birth, Draupad gave birth to this child only to kill Drona. Can you imagine how much anger and how much revenge can do? So it so happened that now it was time for Drishtadyumna to get education. So Drupad sent Drishtadyumna to the school of Dronacharya to get education. Because Drupad knew that the only best teacher around in military art is Dronacharya. And Dronacharya knew this. Right? So we'll come to the story. But just the contrast of the story. So just now I told you the story of the friendship between Drona and Drupad. Even though it started with a friendship, but it led to a great chaos, great fight, and they continued to remain enemies till the end of their lives. Till the battlefield, when both of them died, they continued to maintain their enemy, their unfriendliness. But just contrast to this is the friendship of Krishna and Sudama. Exactly same scene. Exactly same scene. So Krishna and Sudama also studied in the same Gurukul under Sandipani Muni. Krishna was a Kshatriya, Sudama was a Brahmana. Both of them studied in the same school. And after their graduation, both of them parted ways. Just like Drupad and Dronacharya parted ways. And exactly like this, like Drupad and Dronacharya, Sudama remained a poor Brahman and Krishna became Dwarkadish, the king of Dwarka. And one day, Sudama, this poor Brahman, friend of Krishna, goes to Dwarka to ask Krishna for something. But because his wife had told him, go and ask Krishna something. But Sudama is such a genuine friend. He has so much love for Krishna. He feels that how can I ask anything in friendship? If I ask something from my friend, something material from my friend, the entire friendship will go off. So even though Sudama goes to Krishna to ask something, but he really doesn't ask anything. He tells Krishna, the only thing that I want is friendship with you. I don't want anything else. So when we bring material conceptions in friendship, when friendship becomes give and take, so that kind of friendship doesn't last. When you have a lot of expectations in relationships, the relationships don't last. So, and Krishna, even though Sudama didn't ask anything from Krishna knew exactly what Sudama wanted. And without Sudama asking, Krishna fulfilled the desire of Sudama. I mean, can you imagine, can you see this contrast completely? Here, Dronacharya is expressing his need to Drupad, and Drupad is not ready to give. Sudama here doesn't even express his need to Krishna, and Krishna understands. So, friendship or a good relationship is about understanding the needs of the other person. So, because Krishna was thinking about the needs of Sudama and not his own needs, that's why he could help his friend and the friendship could be intact. But in the case of Drona and Drupad, everyone was thinking about their own needs and wants. No one was thinking about the relationship. So in a good friendship or in a good relationship, when it happens, when each party is thinking about the other. So what is real friendship? Real friendship is not to focus on externals, to cultivate good memory and gratitude, to remember the good times and to be grateful for that friendship. And good friends are those who support each other in good times and bad times. And most important, the willingness to give more and take less. So when we are thinking about taking more in a relationship, the relationships don't last. But when we're thinking about giving, the relationships actually last. And ultimately, when God is in the center of any relationship, especially a friendship, the friendship goes on another level. So that's why Duryodhana is using the word here, Drupada Putrena, specifically to remind Drona about his enmity with Drupada. And to tell Drona that it is your mistake. What mistake? That he taught military science to Drishtadyumna, even though Drishtadyumna was born to kill Drona. And because Dronacharya taught military science to Drishtadyumna, what is Drishtadyumna using it for? Now on this war field, Drishtadyumna is leading the Pandavas, and he is the one who is arranging this entire military formation for the Pandavas to fight against his own guru. So Duryodhana is reminding Dronacharya, saying that you made a mistake before. What is the mistake? You showed soft-heartedness to Drishtadyumna, and see the result. This guy is leading the Pandav side, and he is arranged all this army. So indirectly, Duryodhana is telling Dronacharya, don't make that mistake again. Don't show your soft-heartedness to the Pandavas, because Duryodhana knew that Dronacharya has a very soft corner for the Pandavas. So he's reminding him, saying that you made one mistake before, don't make that mistake again. So another very important aspect in this shloka is how Dronacharya, even though he knew that Drishtadyumna is going to kill him, can you imagine, this guy is coming to you to learn something from you, and he is going to use that same knowledge against you. Will you teach him? You will not teach him. But Dronacharya still taught this boy Drishtadyumna. Why? Because the teacher is like this. Anyone who wants to be a teacher, he has to have a broad heart. He is ready to give. Just like the sun gives light to anyone and everyone, he doesn't make discrimination. So a good teacher doesn't make discrimination. He just gives out knowledge very magnanimously. So Dronacharya just gave out knowledge to Drishtadyumna, even though knowing that Drishtadyumna is going to kill him. So this is the broad-mindedness of Dronacharya. So the lesson is, a selfless teacher gives knowledge to the qualified, and is concerned about social protection more than personal protection. So what is important for him is, if the student is qualified, fine, let me give it to him. Because Dronacharya knew ultimately, if in my destiny I have to die in the hands of this boy, anyway I will die. Whether I give him knowledge or not, anyway I'm going to die in his hand. So why should I spoil my name? Let me continue. Just like, there's a very interesting story. One time, there was a Brahmana who went to a river to take bath. So generally Brahmanas, they go to a river and do their Sandhya Vandan in the river. So he was taking water from the river and trying to offer oblations to the river. And while he scooped his hand and took water, there was a scorpion that came out. And the scorpion bit him. And reflex action, he just dropped the scorpion down in the water and again picked up that scorpion because the scorpion was drowning in that water. So he picked up that scorpion and the scorpion bit him again. He dropped it, again picked up that scorpion, the scorpion bit him. So there was one guy who was seeing this and asked him, "What are you doing? Scorpion will bite you. Why are you trying to protect that scorpion?" So this Brahman said something very interesting, a very important answer. And I think this is something that's very important for all of us to reflect on. So this Brahman said, just see, the scorpion is not giving up its duty. It is not giving up its nature. What is the nature of a scorpion? To sting. So it is stinging at any cost. And what is the nature of a Brahmana like me? The nature of a Brahmana like me is to offer help to others, help the suffering. So just like a scorpion doesn't give up its nature, how can I give up my nature? My nature is to help others. And similarly, the nature of a teacher, a selfless teacher, is to give knowledge. Whether the knowledge is going to be used against him or not, he just gives knowledge to everyone. So Dronacharya is that great teacher who's just given knowledge very selflessly. But Duryodhan is naming his own teacher as a less intelligent teacher. And Duryodhan is finding the fault of his guru. Can you imagine the audacity and the guts of Duryodhan? He's finding fault in his teacher because of whom he has all the good qualities. And he's telling Drona, don't make that mistake again. So here we see the difference between Dronacharya and Kamsa. So Dronacharya knew that Drishtadyumna is going to kill him. Still Dronacharya gave knowledge to Drishtadyumna. But when Kamsa, when this Akashvani comes and Kamsa is driving the chariot of Devaki and Vasudeva, and when Kamsa hears that the 8th child of Devaki is going to kill him, Kamsa at once takes his sword and is ready to kill Devaki. Why? Because he is very selfish still. But Dronacharya is quite selfless and he has a broad heart. So here we see the difference between a great soul, a broad-minded person, and a narrow-minded person. A broad-minded person is thinking about others. He is not in a mood of finding faults. But a narrow-minded person is only thinking about himself. One time Dronacharya, while he was teaching the Kauravas and the Pandavas, he wanted to test Duryodhan and Yudhishthir. So he called both of them and he told Duryodhan, go in the kingdom and find someone better than you. He told Duryodhan, go around in the kingdom and find someone better than you. And he called Yudhishthir and told Yudhishthir, go in the kingdom and find someone who's worse than you. So Duryodhan went around and came back quite soon and told Dronacharya, I saw everywhere in the kingdom. No one is better than me. I am the best. And Yudhishthir came also after some time and told Dronacharya very sadly, sorry, I couldn't satisfy your desire. I searched the entire kingdom and I found out that there is no one worse than me. I am the worst. So Duryodhan feels that he is the best and Yudhishthir feels that he is the worst. Duryodhan sees faults everywhere and Yudhishthir sees only good in others and fault in himself. Both of them were seeing the exact same people, but their perception was completely different. Why? Because Duryodhan was focusing on the faults of others, Yudhishthir was focusing on the good of others and his own faults. So this is the difference between a great soul and an ordinary person. Just like we have this choice whether we want to be like a fly or we want to be like a honeybee. Where does fly go? So a fly, even if you put the fly in the best beautiful garden, the fly will search a place that is most dirtiest and sit in that place. Fly mentality. And if you put a honeybee in the dirtiest place, the honeybee will find one beautiful fragrant flower and will go to the flower to suck that honey. So which one do we want to be? Whether we want to be a fly, only trying to find faults in others, even in great souls like Dronacharya, or we want to be like a honeybee who's trying to find the essence, trying to find the good in others. That is the choice. So here Duryodhana is accusing Dronacharya of making a mistake of teaching Drishtadyumna. That is why he is using the word Drupada Putrena to instigate anger and hatred in Dronacharya, and it's telling Dronacharya, don't show soft corner to the Pandavas. So this verse shows the diplomacy of Duryodhana. So the lesson is we need to avoid the defect of fault finding. This is a great defect that we all need to work on. One time there was a needle, a needle has a small hole on top for the thread to go. So the needle is telling the sieve. You know what the sieve? A sieve is jalni. What you use to filter the flour. Basically, that's a sieve. So the needle is telling the sieve, just look how many faults you have. Sorry, the sieve is telling the needle, just look, you have a hole. But the sieve is not ready to see that I am filled with so many holes. So when we find faults in others, we forget that there is so much faults in our own selves. So if we have to find fault, let's find fault in ourselves. We will have a lifetime work to do. There will be a lifetime, we can be preoccupied and we can be busy trying to find our own faults and cure it. So the difference between the Pandavas and the Kauravas was that the Kauravas, they only collected curses in their life. Whereas the Pandavas, they only collected blessings in their lives. So Duryodhana and his others, whatever they did, they only collected curses. Here Duryodhana is trying to use strong words and diplomatic words against Dronacharya. You'll see in the next few verses, he's using diplomatic words against Bhishma. So practically, Kauravas, they were only collecting curses. And the Pandavas, they were only collecting blessings. Even though Dronacharya and Bhishma were fighting for the Kauravas, but their blessings were with the Pandavas. Their body physically was with the Kauravas, but their heart was with the Pandavas. Why? Because the Pandavas had the right attitude. So attitude is something that's very important in life. Being humble, seeing good in others, these are good attitudes that we should cultivate. So the more right attitudes that we have, we will attract blessings more and more. When we have wrong attitudes, we will attract curses more and more. So the lesson is, the real success formula is blessings of others and not curses. So in essence, verse number 3, the points, important points in this verse is, it shows how Duryodhana is an expert diplomat and a politician. Very shrewd guy. That is why he's calling the opposing general, the general of the Pandavas, Drishtadyumna, not as Drishtadyumna, but the son of Drupad. Because Drupad is the sworn enemy of Dronacharya. So by calling Drishtadyumna as the son of Drupad, he's provoking Dronacharya and reminding him of the enmity of Drupad. So, and another point is, because Drishtadyumna was trained by Dronacharya, Duryodhana is also pointing the fault of Dronacharya and telling him, this is the result of your training. You shouldn't have trained that guy. It's your mistake. So even though Duryodhana is a disciple, he is finding faults against his guru. So similarly, the Pandavas are also trained by Dronacharya. So he's reminding Dronacharya that you should not be lenient in fighting against them. You have to, don't repeat the mistake that you did with Drishtadyumna. So we will stop here. We will continue from text 4 the next time.